What's going on YouTube? It's Freedom. Welcome back to the channel, and I got an exciting one for you today, one that I've actually been waiting for quite some time. It is the brand new Alienware, the 720m mouse. Now this thing's boasting two things. One, some type of new magnetic charging system, as well as 2600 DPI, which is actually slightly higher than the Logitech G Pro Wireless Superlight. So let's unbox this bad boy, see what we get. And alright guys, here it is, a beautiful, very shiny white box. I'm pretty sure you can see the cameras picking up that nice sheen coming off this box. But like I said, this is the 720m Alienware mouse, and this is brand new from Alienware. So let's see what we got here. We got a tri-mode wireless gaming mouse. I assume that means this has Bluetooth as well. 2600 DPI. Alright, and then turning this box around, we can see a couple more things about this mouse. 1000 polling rates, battery life up to 140 hours on 2.4 gigahertz, 420 hours on Bluetooth, see there's that Bluetooth mode, as well as fast charge. 5 minutes of fast charge gives you 20 hours of battery life. That's pretty impressive. 8 fully programmable buttons, optical switches rated up to 70 million clicks. Wow, that's actually quite a bit of clicks. Alright, fair enough. Detachable light ultra flex cable, and it's coming in at 89 grams. So this thing is actually pretty impressive when it comes to the spec of the box. So let's go ahead and get this guy open. And there we go. There's the mouse just sitting there all pretty. I actually like the way that they did that. And for the time being, we're just gonna pull that off to the side of the box. Let's see what we get here. Okay, so this is going to be that charging system that they developed. Essentially, there's a little plug here that goes into the front of the mouse, and then it just clicks on. And I'll show you that in just a second. So let's close that up, and then as well as this ultra flexible cable. And I gotta say, it's not as flexible as like the Razer ones that you get out of the box, but it's decently flexible. I would use this as a charging cable. I don't know if I would game with this, honestly. I can already feel the stiffness of this cable. But hey, it's nice enough they included this cable. It is USB-A to USB Type-C, so that's always good. Alright, now looking directly at the mouse, let's take a look at this bad boy. I had to get this. They're calling this, I think, the Lunar Light. It's a beautiful white color, and I absolutely love it. Got the little Alienware logo down here that's RGB, as well as 2 side buttons on the left and on the right. This is a true ambidextrous mouse. I believe a very nice feeling scroll wheel, front charging port, and then everything down at the bottom here. Let's pull this off. Ooh, that's nice. And at the bottom of the mouse, you can see here we got the power switch, the mode switch button, as well as a profile switching button. Black PTFE feet, a little bit of a bummer, honestly. I was hoping to see some white ones on this one. But overall, it's very well built. No rattling, no creaking, no anything on this thing. This thing is built very well. Alright, let's put this thing down and actually feel what it feels like in the hand. I got a G Pro Superlight here because, you know what, I kind of figured they'd be very similar to one another. Let's see how wrong I am. So, G Pro fits in the hand, it's G Pro, we know what that feels like, and let's feel this, oh, that feels completely different. This is a completely different shape. Completely different, so I'm actually going to throw that out. Not literally, I'm just going to put it over this side. Wow, that is completely different. So basically what I'm feeling here is that these thumb grooves that they put into this are slightly textured. I'm not sure if you can pick up that texturing that they put on this mouse. Slightly textured, it does go in quite a bit. It's very flat at the top, but the mouse 1 and 2 have very pronounced finger grooves, and I actually am a big finger groove guy. So I love the fact that, there you go, you can see that in the camera, really grooved on those fingers and those triggers. This almost feels kind of Viper-esque. Almost take a G Pro wireless, but kind of give it the curvature of a Viper, and you're kind of getting the idea of what this mouse is going to eventually feel like here. Now, they did say the switches in here are 70 million clicks. They are optical switches. I'm not sure who they're getting them from, but let's give them a little sound test. I must admit, these are probably the first optical switches I've tried that actually feel like normal switches. They're not as crispy as, say, the Kale 8.0s, but they're still very crispy. If you were to give this, I think, to somebody else and not tell them these were optical switches, I don't think they could tell the difference right off the rip without knowing that. Wow, those are really nice. The only thing I can actually see that could be a little bit of a downside just by holding the mouse is that my ring finger here wants to press this button right here. So I'm sure there's a way in the software that I can disable that. Just to give you some dimensions on this mouse, this guy's coming in at 1.49 inches in height, 2.43 inches in width, and 4.93 inches in the depth of this guy. So it's actually more like the Viper than I think it is, honestly. They're very similar, and this guy's coming in at 89 grams. Also another sweet spot for me. I like mice around 70 to 80 grams, so this is hitting a nice sweet spot for me. And then lastly, let's try to figure out how this magnetic mechanism works here. So let's pull out this little box they give us. Alrighty, so here is that magnetic component. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. There's that magnetic component that's USB-C that goes right into the front of the mouse like so. There we are. Sits in the mouse like that. And then the other thing we have in the box here is going to be this little extended dongle area. So you can see it's actually got two USB-C ports on it. One side is the magnetic side, and then this one's got 2.4, and then it also has the USB. So I would assume we take our cord here, plug it into the USB side, and then the other thing in the box is going to be the 2.4 gigahertz receiver, which is labeled. Thank you. I always like labeled receivers. That's going to go on the top here like so. So it's going to have this kind of weird configuration here, but essentially what we're going to be doing is that once I'm done playing my game, I can just connect it like that, and I already felt it. Look at that. It connected quite strongly, actually. I can actually hold the mouse up directly from the magnet here, so that is actually very strong. You can actually see I'm actually holding this thing up by the magnet. Now let's see if I can get it to drop. I actually cannot get that thing to drop. That's a pretty strong magnet. If I tilt it on its side, oh, I don't want to break it. I don't want to break it, but it's still going. It's still going. Okay, there we go. Oh, wow. That is pretty strong. Okay, so if I just tug on it real quick, look at that beautiful tug on there. And then if I want to connect it, I connect it like that. That is fantastic. I like that. It's kind of different. It's not like the Razer one where you can, place it on the dock. I prefer that method, but I'm a little spoiled by that one. But hey, I like to see that they're coming out with some type of new charging mechanism outside of just plugging it in there. So kudos to you, Alienware. Alright guys, I'm really excited to take this bad boy, plug it in my computer, fire it up, play some games with it, see how it stacks up with the rest of the competition. But as it stands right now, I wouldn't be sleeping on this little UFO, honestly. So, let's see what happens. Alright guys, now that we had some time to actually play with the mouse, let's get some final thoughts and some ideas on really what I think this mouse is. And first and foremost, I honestly thought that this mouse was going to be very similar to the G Pro Wireless. It kind of gives me that vibe, it kind of looks like that, but you know what, once you get this thing in your hand, you realize this thing's not a G Pro at all. This thing is more like the Razer Viper, almost identical to it. It is a little heavier, the finger grooves are a little bit more pronounced, and its coating is actually a little bit stickier. So for instance, if I put my hand on this guy right here, like it's really sticky. And if you have partially sweaty hands, you're just gonna stick to this coating. Versus the Viper coating, which I actually really love. It's kind of got that grainy material on it. So when you hold on to it, it's actually really nice. And now I will say, I love the fact that the Alienware's buttons and side buttons are much bigger. I will tell you, I didn't really hit this button at all with my ring finger, like I know I was a little afraid I was going to, because it is very pronounced. But during gameplay, I actually didn't touch it at all, so that's really nice. I will say, though, that I don't quite understand this mouse. And the reasons why I say that is because, to be fair, this thing on paper has very high specs. You know, the 26,000 DPI, the 70 million optical switches, which feel fantastic. It's got great grip to it. I wish the skates were better, honestly. It's got the wireless gigahertz connection as well as Bluetooth connection. I mean, this thing's got everything you want from a mouse in 2022. And it feels really nice. It's very comfortable in the hands. I really like the deeper finger grooves. So why don't I like this mouse? Well, I simply don't like this mouse because mice like the Viper and the Model O Wireless exist. And honestly, that's when I start really scratching my head when it comes to these two mice, because this guy, for everything that it is coming up at $150 US. That's the same price as the G Pro Wireless at its starting price. Even the G Pro Wireless is now down in price. And I know the Viper's always on sale. They bundle these in packs all the time. This has definitely been around for a while. Granted, it's been around for what, about 2 years now? So it's older, but still, this thing still performs incredibly well. So I guess I just don't quite understand why they kind of went with that route. So I have no issues with the product. I guess this is just the first product I really got in my hands. Nothing really wowed me once I got it in my hands. It's fantastic on paper. It feels great. I haven't felt any other Alienware mice, so maybe this is going to be an upgrade for those who look to upgrade their Alienware mice. But I think for the general consumer that's looking for mice and sees this and goes, ooh, Alienware, I remember them, and this thing looks really cool. The white is incredible on here. Honestly, on paper, looks the best, but I'm going to tell you guys, probably end up going with either the Razer Viper or the Model O Wireless or something like that, because I don't understand its price point. Now, I would say throw in this, maybe about $100, you know, starting off, and then it goes on sale over time. Sure, I think this would have been a way better pickup at that. Well, for what you're getting, for the $150 price point, I just don't understand it. And I gotta say, I'm not really knocking this mouse, like I said. I really like it. I think it feels fantastic. I like the grooves, the finger grooves, better than what's on the Viper. But, of course, that's a personal preference of mine. And I can still play decently well with it. It is a little it's tipping on the heavier side of mice that I like to use, but it's still usable. There's nothing wrong with it. I just really don't know who this mouse is for other than die-hard Alienware fans. And that's no knock on you guys. It's just, I don't really know what to make of this mouse, to be perfectly honest with you. But again, that's not calling this mouse bad by any means. I just think that with the features that they packed into this mouse, with the wireless charging, 26,000 DPI sensor, the optical switches, hell, you can get the exact same thing in the Razer Viper. I actually prefer the wireless charging dock on a Viper. This has got a Focus Plus sensor inside of it. It's got the optical switches. I know those are up for debate on whether or not these V2s are any good. And it's got everything else that you really need. So I don't quite get it. Personally, I'd stick with the Viper on this one. And let's get real, you can put aftermarket skates on the Viper. They're readily available. I happen to have the glass skates in here if you guys caught that video. And I don't see the aftermarket community really making aftermarket feet for this one. The feet on these could be a lot better, to be perfectly honest with you. And that said, I do think this would look cool on any Alienware battle station. I love the design, I like the way it looks, I like the way it feels. I just don't think it's for me. And alright guys, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully this little review was helpful for you making a decision between this mouse. If you're looking at this mouse, if you didn't even know that this mouse even existed, because perfectly honest with you, I didn't. This went under the radar for me. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend if you'd like, and I'll catch you in the next one.